I don't feel home at home. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to, or even allowed to, call home. Hi, I'm Ayane. I was born and raised in this quiet town called Shiga in Japan. A place where everything should make sense to me. But it never really has. Society tells me I should feel at home in Japan, that I should have no problem communicating in Japanese, and that I should feel safe in Japanese society, and that my Japanese self should be the most comfortable one. But it hasn't always been. My sense of home always seems to be somewhere in between. Shifting, colliding, never staying still. When I catch up with friends, it's usually over Zoom or FaceTime, tools that make us forget that we're actually miles apart. Sometimes they're in the past. Sometimes they're in the future. Yup, my clock app is always full of this. When I'm overwhelmed, I calm myself in English. I journal in English. I meditate in English. I heal in English. Somehow, I just can't understand my inner world in Japanese. And yet, if you look at my background, there's no international school, no time spent abroad growing up. Just a 23-year-old Japanese woman. But here I am, thinking, feeling, and dreaming mostly in English. And people often ask me why. I ask myself the same thing. What's going on here? Why can't I feel at home in my home? And yet, this language, English, I love, is technically foreign. But this feeling, it's valid. So valid. On paper, it might not make sense that I feel more connected to myself in English than in Japanese, but in my body, it's real. So I started wondering, what if language isn't just how we communicate, but also how we connect to ourselves? And what if grammar shapes not just how we talk, but also how we think, feel, and even remember who we are? So, I picked up one of the world's most trusted grammar books, Grammar in Use by Cambridge. And I'm so honored to say that this video is brought to you by Cambridge. And I'll be honest, as someone who avoided grammar for years, I was kind of lazy at first. Yeah, bro, perspective shifts are always insane. I'm so glad I gave this a chance because what I found in there was way beyond interesting. And it made so much sense. Grammar is emotional architecture. And hold on, let me explain why, and I'll start with the easy ones. As you might know, English centers the I. I think, I feel, I believe, I want, I don't know. In Japanese, you get to be more indirect. Like, if you don't want to go to a friend's party, in English you'd say, I don't think I'm coming, or even, I don't want to come. But in Japanese, you'd say, 行けたら行く or 予定がある, all without saying the I. And it works. In Japanese, you don't really need to say I. So it's often unclear who's really saying yes or no, it's only implied. Which means, in my opinion though, English trains you to take emotional ownership. It asks, who's thinking? Who's feeling this? Who wants this or doesn't? And helps you own your perspective without making it universal. And Japanese delivers thoughts more like facts. So you know what's interesting? Even though my emotional language is English, I get to be more observant in it. Maybe because of my Japanese self. Like I get to speak in the language that centers the I, but from a culture that doesn't always need to say I. So maybe it's not that I'm 100% English emotionally, but it's that my English self and Japanese self met halfway. Oof, this one hit me hard. English puts emotional priority up front. With the help of Grammar in Use, I was reminded of how we speak in this order of subject, verb, object. I love you. You hurt me. This matters to me. That's not just grammar, that's a declaration, a position. It says, this is where I stand. The verb comes before the object. You're not just describing something, you're declaring your relationship to it. Now, compare that to Japanese. Subject, object, verb. I, you, love. The thing comes first, and then the emotion comes at the end. So, in Japanese, you recognize the outside word first. Whereas in English, we recognize the inner state first. It's subtle, but it changes everything. I this am not. I give don't. You feel it, right? And it's not that one is better or worse, they just emphasize different things. English gives you many different ways to express your attitude. I can, I could, I may, I might, I should. I used to find them mendokusai, like unnecessarily complicated, but now I kinda love them. Let's take shit. In Japanese, we translate it as beki. And when I hear things like ko surubeki, ko arubeki, it feels heavy, like pressure. But in English, should feels lighter. It allows for suggestion, possibility, not just obligation. There's a phrase in Japanese, bekiron, the should theory. Japanese should often sounds like someone is speaking on behalf of society. Like, this is what people will think, this is what's expected. And since there's often no clear subject, that pressure floats in the air. And right, Japan has a collective culture. But I didn't expect grammar to reflect that too. Now I understand why I tend to perform in Japanese, but realize it in English. Interesting, right? Oof, last but not least, tense. Everyone's favorite, right? English makes you locate yourself in time, all the time. It's like constant check-in. To describe what happened, it makes you clarify when it happened, which helps you become more self-aware. Not just of what happened, but of where you were emotionally. Where were you? Where are you now? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Now, if you look at Grammar News page 8, there was this section saying someone is being blah blah blah. So he's rude versus he's being rude. That tiny change, it gives you a buffer. You're not just labeling, you're observing behavior. It gives you space to respond instead of react. Now, page 14, another one, present perfect. Well, I'd call it now emotionally active memory. Like, he has never driven a car. It feels a bit more than just a fact, right? In Japanese, it's unten shita koto nai. It kind of just states what is, which I think is why I find it easier to reflect, to be constructive, to offer opinions, and to make sense of my life in English. Like, I feel distant versus I've been feeling distant. The second one brings a context, a timeline, and it softens. So tense helps your emotions travel. Tense helps them land. People say English is direct, but to me, it's about being emotionally traceable. Yep. Learning a language isn't just about learning a new language. It's not even about just adding a new perspective. Your brain doesn't go, okay, new folder English. No. It's more like an iOS update. It's your whole system evolving. Not two operating systems, but one, integrated, fused, merged. But this emotional clarity I found through English isn't a universal truth. But that's exactly the beauty of learning a language. You don't just get access to another culture, you get access to a different version of yourself. And that version changes how you walk through the world, how you feel your feelings, how you understand others too, and how you take responsibility for your life. Japanese taught me to notice others. English taught me to notice myself. And grammar taught me how language holds emotion. And that's what I mean when I say grammar is emotional architecture. Thank you, Cambridge, for sponsoring this video.